Hello there, very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Martin Satyagraha. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this afternoon.
Former President makes statement on the April 21st attacks Presidential Commission report. Minister Johnston Fernando released from 2 bribery cases. Project to plant 25,000 saplings across the country in 16 days. Mabin Water Reserve in Valuitia falls into the clutches of cultivators.
Now those stories in detail. Reports have emerged about the Divithuru Mabin Water Reserve in Valuitia, which consists of water springs that supplies water even during severe droughts, has been subjected to deforestation.
Residents charge that soil extraction is already taking place in the Mabin Water Reserve. The reserve spreads across 600 acres. Residents point out that certain actions by the people have led to destroying the medicinal plants in the reserve. Residents in the area requested the authorities to assure the protection of this reserve.
We are trying hard to conserve the environment. In reality, the biggest treasury is not in Colombo. There is just paper. The real treasury is in our forests, our wetlands, in Sinharaja. It is our food, our water, the air we breathe. It is exactly those places that our politicians are selling off and making profits out of. Environmental destruction does not take place by accident. The cutting of trees and the murder of animals, these are not just activities. These are planned, strategic, political and economical procedures. This is the neoliberalism of our time. It is not just cutting trees, but also the financing of lands. It started in Latin America this way, and it will happen in Asia in the exact same manner. All this happens when neoliberal systems are put in place. Authoritarianism and dictatorship are put before freedom and democracy. Neoliberalism will leave no place for democracy in this country. The Satyagraha campaign carried out by farmers from Galgamuwa, Mahyanganaya, Walsapugala and Madawachia, demanding solutions for human-elephant conflict, continued today as well.
The Satyagraha initiated by farmers in Galgamuwa continued for the 11th day today. These farmers pledged their support to the Satyagraha initiated by the farmers in Walsapugala and demanded a proper solution be given to the human-elephant conflict. National organizer of the All Ceylon Farmers Federation, Namal Karunaratne, also participated in this Satyagraha last night. Today is the 10th day of the Satyagraha initiated by the farmers in Mahyanganaya. The group in Mahyanganaya also demanded that a proper solution be given to the human-elephant conflict. Former Provincial Council member Samantha Vidyaratna also joined the Satyagraha yesterday. The Satyagraha initiated by the farmers from Walsapugala continued for its 69th day today. The farmers urged that the proposed wild elephant management reserve put forward to minimize the human-elephant conflict be gazetted. 86 farmers associations led by the Walava Left Bank Joint Farmers Association initiated the Satyagraha. The Satyagraha of the Madawachia farmers entered its 8th day today. The group supported the Walsapugala farmers in calling for a solution to the human-elephant conflict. This Satyagraha is organized by the All Island Farmers Association.
Former President Maithripala Sirisena expressed these views regarding the report of the Presidential Commission that probed the April 21st attacks.
I know the opinion about me regarding the April 21st attacks. Honorable Speaker, the reason being, the following day of the April 21st attacks, a cabinet minister in my government, whom I appointed, convened a media briefing and said that the President was aware of this and he is answerable to this. Also, several other ministers from my government created an impression among the public that I had prior knowledge about the attacks and neglected it, and that my responsibilities and the duties were not fulfilled. Especially there is an opinion within the public that I had my knowledge and still did not take action. Certain times these things are being told maybe without a proper understanding or the grudges due to politics. People spoke wrongly about me. How many lives were lost in the attack in Sri Mahabodhya and bomb blasts at the temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic, the central bank bombing, and remember the bomb blast in Maradana, the killing of monks in Arantalava. If we look at all of them, commissions are needed. There will be requirement to establish papers on accountability. All of these are terrorist attacks too, just like the one that took place on the 21st of April 2019.
ත්‍රස්ත ප්‍රහාරය එයත් ත්‍රස්ත ප්‍රහාරයක් කියන එක පැහැදිලිව තේරුම් ගත යුතු වෙනවා.
Colombo Chief Magistrate Buddhika Sri Ragala ordered the release of Minister Johnston Fernando, former Satosa Chairman Iraj Fernando and former Director of Operations at Satosa Mohammed Sharkey from two separate bribery cases filed against them. The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption filed the cases against the trio for using 153 Satosa workers for political activity and causing losses to the state. The Colombo High Court last year ordered the Colombo Chief Magistrate to release Johnson Fernando, Iraj Fernando and Mohammed Sharkey from the case. The Colombo High Court issued the order after considering the revisional application filed by the trio. The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption filed 5 separate cases against the trio at the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court for removing 153 Satosa workers from their official duties and using them for political activity from 2010 to 2014. They were accused of causing 40 million rupees in losses to the state by doing so. Moving along, several artists considered to be the finest of the current generation met with Bhagya Abhiratna, who made a revelation about deforestation in Singharaja yesterday.
Ratna Shri Vijay Singha, Nandana Veerasinghe, Mahinda Prasad Mas Imbula, Ravi Sirivardhana and several other activists were seen amongst them.
ප්‍රතිලාභයක් බවට පත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් නොස්සලි ඔබේ මගේ යන්න.
A planting ceremony was also held at the reserve in Ramuka, which flows near the temple near Singharaja Forest Reserve.
Area residents have been severely affected due to the dilapidated state of the road in Kahatapura in Passara.
The road leading to Gada Dehigolla in Kahatapura, Passara is in a dilapidated state. Area residents pointed out that the land in this village is extremely suitable for agriculture. The distance from Ilupatutanna to Gada Dehigolla via the Kolongaspitiya road spans 4 kilometers. However, 3 kilometers of this road has now been washed away. As a result, around 200 families from several villages, including Hettiagala, Gada Dehigolla, Kanugolla, Bogahalanda and Ilugolla, have been severely affected.
මේ දරුවෝ ඉස්කෝලේ යන්නේ කොහමද? මේ වලවල් වල වැටිලා ගොඩාක් තුවාල වෙනවා. ඉතින් මේ දරුවෝ සමහරක් වෙලාවට ඉස්කෝලේ යන්නේ නැයි තුවාල වෙලා මේ පාරේ එන්න පුළුවන්ද?
ඡන්ද කාලේට නම් දේශපාලඥයෝ ඕන තරම් එනවා අපේ ගමට ඇවිල්ලා පාර හදලා දෙන්නම් වාහන දාලා දෙන්නම් බස් දාලා දෙන්නම් කියලා හැම දෙයක්ම කියනවා. ඒ වුණාට ඡන්දෙන් පස්සේ කවුරුත් හොයන්නේ බලන්නේ නැහැ.
Area residents charge that they find it difficult to transport their harvest to the market. They request the relevant authorities to provide a solution to this issue.
Thuru Kapakaru, an island-wide tree planting campaign where 25,000 saplings are planted within 16 days, commenced today.
Newsfirst come at the V-Force together with Eslon and the Sri Lanka Scout Association launched the campaign at the Agra Mata Vidyalaya in Thalawattugoda this morning. The saplings were planted by the scouts at Agra Mata Vidyalaya in Thalawattugoda.
ආරාධිතයින් අතින් දෙමව්පියන්ට බාර කෙරුණු දෙමව්පියන් අතින් තමන්ගේ දරුවන්ට බාර කෙරුණු පැලයි මෙලෙස රෝපණය කෙරෙන්නේ. මේ පැලවලට හිමිකරුවන් බොහෝ සෙයින් සිට.
The specialty here is that every plant has a designated caregiver. The plants required for this project were provided by the Ministry of Environment, the Central Environmental Authority and the Forest Department.
We have seen various tree planting initiatives happening across the country. However, after a few weeks or months, there is nobody to care for the trees and look into the process. For every tree we have planted, we have also designated a caregiver, and this will continue for a period of 1 year. This is what we initiated today.
Sri Lanka වාසී ඔබ සැමට මේ වැඩසටහන හා සම්බන්ධ වීමේ හැකියාව පවතිනවා. ගහකොළ බොහොම නිහතමානීව
Trees do an immense service to all of humankind and the animal kingdom by providing oxygen. However, humans have completely neglected this act of service and continue to destroy this invaluable resource. They have allowed this destruction to happen to the very trees that gave them shade and quenched their thirst. As I see it, the reason for this is because we have gradually moved away from nature.
අපි ක්‍රමයෙන් පරිසරයෙන් ඈත් වීම.
Certificates and medals were also awarded in appreciation of the members of the Sri Lanka Scout Association who contributed to the event.
The end goal of every act of service that the Scouts carry out is to conserve and care for the environment. Therefore, this initiative has been designated to the appropriate entity. Lord Baden-Powell once said, quote, "Try and leave this world better than you found it," unquote.
යහපත් අවස්ථාවක් යහපත් මට්ටමකින් තබා යන්නයි කියලා.
Residents of Soranatota allege that the water obtained from the Kandegedra Galkotuagama water project belonging to the Soranatota Pradeshiya Sabha is contaminated.
Residents of Soranatota point out that the water is distributed without any purification. Around 113 families in the area are facing an acute shortage of drinking water due to this issue. It was also pointed out that this water project, which was built at the expense of the people, is of no use at present, and that the price of water bills has been increased unfairly in the background of the supply of unclean water. Newsfirst inquired about this from the chairperson of the Soranatota Pradeshiya Sabha.
The water spring is not safe enough. We have informed the relevant authorities to implement necessary purification methods and reparation of the pipelines. It has been given for 20 rupees until 1000 litres. I think this is not a serious issue. Unlike others in our division, we don't charge a huge amount.
බරපතල ගැටලුවක් නෙවෙයි අපේ කොට්ටාසේ අනිත් ඒ වගේ ලොකු බිලක් අය කරන්නේ නැහැ.
In international news, US President Joe Biden was pressed on how he would address the surge in migrants at the southern border at his first official press conference.
More than 17,000 children are being kept in government detention centers, and Biden was challenged on whether his policies could be contributing to the increase in child arrivals. During the White House news conference, US President Joe Biden blamed his predecessor Donald Trump for the growing humanitarian crisis on the southern border and said it was normal for the US to experience an influx of migrants in cooler months. When asked if he would make government-run detention centers open to visits from reporters, Biden said, quote, "He will commit to transparency," unquote.
North Korea has claimed the missiles it launched yesterday were a new type tactical guided projectile. The missiles were North Korea's first ballistic launchers in almost a year and the first since US President Joe Biden took office. The United States, Japan and South Korea have all condemned the tests. Under UN Security Council resolutions, North Korea's capital Pyongyang is banned from testing ballistic missiles. North Korea's statement today says the two weapons struck a test target 600 kilometers off North Korea's east coast, disputing Japanese assessments that they flew just over 400 kilometers. According to the North Korean release, Ri Pyong-chul, the senior leader who oversaw the test, said the development of this weapon system is of great significance in bolstering up the military power of the country and deterring all sorts of military threats. The United States and United Kingdom have imposed sanctions on Myanmar's two military conglomerates in a move that significantly increases pressure on the country's leadership.
According to foreign media, the US Treasury has now added 2 companies in Myanmar with interests across many of the country's major industries to a blacklist, freezing any assets they have in the United States and banning United States individuals and businesses from trading with them. Human rights groups and democracy activists have long pushed for sanctions against the 2 conglomerates, arguing that they fund the military's repression of protesters. Critics worry that the increased pressure won't be enough to force change.
In your sports news, centuries from Nkrumah Bonner and Pathum Nissanka were the highlights in the first of the 2-match test series between Sri Lanka and West Indies, as visitors, after being in a dominant position on day 4, settled for a draw in North-South Antigua.
Loud appeal.
Resuming day 5, Sri Lanka had to capture 9 more wickets to script their first test victory following the resumption of international cricket due to the pandemic. Chasing a target of 375 runs, West Indies were 236 for 4 when Dimuth Karunaratne decided that no result was possible and called off the rest of the match.
Goes through it, just as you would.
Nkrumah Bonner scored 113 runs while Kyle Miles scored 52. Vishwa Fernando and Lassit Tambuldania took 2 wickets each.
Awfully swept away. Edged away.
Batting first at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in North Sound, Antigua, Sri Lanka scored 169 runs. In response, Windies scored 271 runs. Sri Lanka in their second innings displayed an improved batting performance as they scored 476 runs in 149.5 overs.
It was wide outside the off stump.
Pathum Nissanka became only the 4th Sri Lankan to score a century on debut. His knock of 103 runs included 6 fours. Niroshan Dikwala and Oshada Fernando both missed out on well-deserved centuries as they were dismissed for 96 and 91 respectively. Dhananjay De Silva and Lahiru Thirimanne scored half centuries.
Look what it means to the Jamaican.
The second and the final test between the 2 sides will be played on the 29th at the same venue.
Karunaratne and what he does for overs into this 15, yes he does. We've seen some superb performances throughout the course of this match. Pathum Nissanka.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Lunchtime News on TV1. For details of these stories and much more, simply log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk. For the News First team, I'm Martin Satyagraha, along with producer Senita Sena Naika. You have yourself a wonderful day.